This is Reimagining Abilities. Stories of the Charles Lea Center's impact supporting individuals with disabilities so they can be a part of the communities where they live, work, and play. Join us now in Reimagining Abilities. Welcome back to another edition of Reimagining Abilities, a Charles Lea Center podcast. I'm Richard Edmond, your host, and joining us in studio today is Shannon Childress. She is the Vice President of North Carolina and Ancillary Services. And tell us, what all does your job encompass? Because that sounds like a lot of things to juggle.
Well, I'm currently supporting our programs in North Carolina. Started that back in January of this year. And I support our nursing department and our case management department and our in-home supports program.
And we just talked about case management week not too long ago. That was a very interesting.
Yes.
To learn everything that goes into that. But one of the programs that you take care of is called LeaCares.
That's correct.
Tell us about it.
Well, so LeaCares is a program we started about 4 years ago, I believe. I have only been with Charles Lea for about 3.5 years, and that program had started prior to me arriving, and we provide services, in-home supports to people in the community, various levels of disabilities, various ages, and anything from just some personal care services to some respite services, whatever that family may need.
Is it just Charles Lea Center families that you support right now?
No, it is not. It's people all in various counties. Right now we're only serving some of the counties that are contiguous to Spartanburg, but it's not, they're not persons who receive any other services at Charles Lea. They live out in the community.
Tell us about, how do you coordinate all of this?
So I have a wonderful director, and we receive referrals. A family may have what they call waiver services, some state-funded services or some Medicaid services, and they'll contact their case manager, and they'll explain their need, whatever that need may be, and then the case manager makes referrals based on what they call a provider list. And we're on the provider list, and we're very fortunate because of our name. People are very familiar with the Charles Lea Center, and so any association, we're very blessed that we get the referrals that we do, and so that's how that process works.
I was going to ask, how do people feel when they realize it's the Charles Lea Center? How does that backing put them at ease or make them feel better?
Well, they recognize that the most people that know about Charles Lea Center are familiar with how long we've been here, the services we provide, the quality of the services that we provide. And so I think that when they recognize that there is an affiliation, they just automatically assume that the quality and all of the other things that go along with the greatness of Charles Lea is also in our in-home support program.
I'm sure there's no shortage of people that you can help in a situation like this.
Unfortunately, yes.
How do you decide who gets help, who gets into the program?
You know, a lot depends on where they're located. We have a pool of staff that are willing to be an in-home supports provider. It just not always works in terms of how far they can drive. So we have to be selective in terms of where they're located. And then, and also, we have a lot of family members that come to us with already a caregiver in mind. It's somebody that is a friend or someone that they've worked with before, and if they come to us and we know that they're in need of services and we have a caregiver lined up for them, then it's an easy yes, and it's pretty simple.
How do you coordinate all of the supports that you provide?
Well, the coordination piece really is just a matter of just making sure that the caregivers are properly trained, and certainly networking in terms of getting our name out there and obtaining or recruiting caregivers, because you can't accept cases, of course, until you have a good number of or a qualified number of caregivers. And so it just is a matter of just making sure that when we get this referral from the case manager, that we have a match for that person, whether it be someone that comes in with them or someone that we provide, and then we just make sure that they're trained. We have an RN who goes to the home and evaluates that person, and based on that evaluation and their assessment, they'll we then know that that person is qualified, and then it's just a matter of just making sure that we're able to meet the hours that they need.
Now, most of the caregivers you can kind of vet and they know what to do, but you were saying earlier that a family may have a caregiver already in mind.
That is correct.
How do you make sure that they're qualified?
Well, that goes back to that training and certainly the interviewing process and ensuring that that person understands what it is they're being asked to do and making sure that they're qualified and competent in those areas.
Where do you see this program going in the future?
Well, I will say, it's COVID has, with everything else, has put a kind of a hindrance on where we were hoping to be at this point. But as long as we have qualified caregivers, we would love to see ideally, in Shannon's perfect world, we would gain about 10 new participants, and participants is kind of the state term, the name for people that are receiving the services in the home. So I would say if we could grow just at least about 10 a year, that's 10 more families in the community that we're helping. So
if there's someone watching that thinks I could really use LeaCares to help with the situation that I'm going through, how do they get in touch? How do they become a part of the program to be a participant?
Well, they can of course email me, and my information is on our website. My email address and my phone number is on our website, and then from that point I can refer them to our director, who will then contact the case manager. Typically, the case managers are pretty involved in getting that connection. But if they don't have a case manager, or they would like to speak directly to our director, then they can contact us here at the main center, and then we can go from there.
And you can also find Shannon's information on the description of this podcast. So just scroll down, look below, and you will find all of that information so you can reach out and get in touch with Shannon and her wonderful staff and get things started. Shannon, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate all this great information.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we thank you for tuning in to this edition of Reimagining Abilities. Until next time, we hope you have a great day.